Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I have heard from many of you wanting to check on me and make sure that I'm okay because I have not posted a video in a while. Today I'm going to be giving an update for my week 41, 42, and I am now on week 43. So we're going to go over a few things that have popped up in the news. There's not a whole lot that has been popping up that is not things that we've already talked about in the past, so this should be a fairly short video today. Let's get started. So this is my busiest time of the year. I have basically every platform that I am on with a different ask right now. I have a lot of different brand deals as well, especially through Like to Know It. And so I have been extremely busy. So I have also been dealing with sick children. I've also had birthdays for one of my children. I also had family here for about 2 weeks, maybe a little more than 2 weeks. So I have been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, and this has just kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit because I really did not have anything to report out to you all as far as my personal journey with this. So I'm still on the 10 milligram with Zepbound. This is now, I'm on my second month with 10 milligram. If you all recall, I had lost, it was over 10 pounds within my first 2 weeks on the 10 milligram with Zepbound. Then when I took my Cosentyx injection, and then it was also a cycle week after that, I ended up only having a net loss for the month that was like somewhere around 6-ish pounds. And that's the last time we spoke. Since then, and I'll put up right over here, I will show you all my week 41 injection, my week 42 injection, and then even this week, my week 43 injection right over here. So I have since then had 3 injections of the 10 milligram. I have additionally seen my endocrinologist after having the blood work with her, which I showed you all what my blood work was looking like after I had had the blood work done. Everything is looking better. She locally is really only interested in like the bottom line of how much weight I have lost. Where every other doctor has really told me they feel like I'm losing weight too quickly and too fast. When I was seeing them, I was somewhere around a 50-pound weight loss since February of this year. Whereas she does not feel I'm losing weight fast enough. So since the last time I saw her, which was 6 months ago, I had only netted like a 20-ish pound loss. And so she was not very impressed. She originally had wrote prescriptions all the way through 15 for me. Even told me that if I'm not really losing as much as I want to on the 10, to just go ahead and go up to the 15. Anything else that I was wanting to discuss with her, she really kind of just cut me off and said that she's only going to look at my thyroid in another 3 months just to see how that's going and make sure that I really don't need to be on thyroid medicine anymore, and just actively show that she's monitoring it. Otherwise, that was basically it for my appointment with her. She was very like, hi, nice to see you. You didn't lose enough weight. Now leave. I was a little disappointed in that, especially because in the past we have talked about how a lot of the insurances coming up in January are changing the requirements in order to even obtain these drugs. And a lot of insurances are going to start requiring that you see an in-person doctor, whereas I get the majority of my feedback, get the majority of my questions answered, get the majority of my needs met through my virtual Weight Watchers clinic physician and care team. They even had to prescribe me Zofran through there at the beginning of me taking the 10 milligrams, which they were wonderful about it. They also are actively monitoring, what I'm eating, how much activity I'm getting, because I ask them to, right? And then also checking in with me to make sure that everything's going okay on my current doses. So I really can't say more good things about the Weight Watchers Clinic. I just wish that they would still kind of give me some semblance of like a discount maybe for, pushing them so hard, but I'm okay with that. I do not get any kind of like kickbacks or anything from the Weight Watchers Clinic. They kind of stopped even doing referrals at this time. They stopped doing referrals once they also started offering a compounded semaglutide as well. So I, for week both 41 and 42, did not lose a single pound. Because I was finishing up a cycle week and then also all of my stress, I'm assuming, I kind of teetered back and forth, going back and forth between the same 3 to 4-ish pounds those entire times. Now that I'm on week 43 and I'm a couple of days in, that is finally kind of kicked back over and changed a little bit. However, I don't want to say like, hey, I've lost another this much weight, because I'm only about 2 to 3 days in of my last week 43 injection, and I like to wait until the full week has kind of cycled around. Typically, for my experience with this, I lose the most weight right around day 3 or 4 of the injection, and then the last 2 to 3 days before I take the next injection, some of that weight even comes back again. So it kind of will go, hey, you've lost 2 to 3 pounds, but then, oh wait, here's another 1.5 pounds that has come back. And I have been that way since I started taking this. And it also makes me understand a little bit more about the people who are using compounds or are getting vials, and let's say they're supposed to be on 5 milligram, and so they're taking 2.5 milligram, and then 4 days later taking another 2.5 milligram, because their body after about 3 to 4 days is no longer responding to the medicine like it did during those first 3 to 4 days. However, again, I am not a medical professional. It is not from manufacturer or FDA or clinically advised to take this medicine more than every 7 days. So you're really only supposed to be taking what dosage you should be on, then waiting a full 7 days and taking it again. There are no studies that have been done on if you are taking this every 3 to 4 days, or if you're kind of like dosing yourself over top of dosing yourself. It's actually quite the contrary of that. There are lots and lots of articles out there about overdosing when it comes to these type of medicines. I recently also watched on Hulu, it was called A Shot in the Dark, and I believe it was through ABC News. They also kind of informed the public on there that, you know, it is very easy to overdose on compounds because the potency of a lot of the compounds are not actually what it has on the label. And we also learned a couple of weeks ago via one of the other pharmacies that came out and said, hey, we did our own stability study, which was not a full stability study, but we did our own potency study basically. And after so many days, ours actually becomes more potent. And a lot of people got excited by that. I don't really know that you should be excited by that. Because you want to be taking what it is you've been prescribed. You want to know what dosage you're on. You want to titrate up, you know, effectively. You don't want to be on a 5 milligram and then you've let it sit so long in your fridge that all of a sudden taking it feels like you're taking a 10 milligram all of a sudden because it has a 250% potency level on it. And in that news, with ABC News, they did actually find one that was over a 200% potency, which attributes a lot to a lot of the ERs in the US saying that they're having a lot of patients presenting with more or less overdose type reactions from GLP-1 medications. So I am not going to officially give you all a week 43 readout. I'll give you kind of a preliminary here. So I'm about 2.5 pounds down from where I was during week 40, 41, and 42 going into week 43. However, it is also my Cosentyx week. So I've hit Cosentyx week again. I will be taking it towards the end of this week, which we all know that means I'm going to have a nice little weight gain as well. I also have discussed with my rheumatologist that we will be doing an MRI again in 2025, looking at the radiographic AS and kind of see what Inflammation looks like it has continued to cause damage because we may have to rotate off of the Cosentyx, even though it has somewhat been working for me. I had reported out to him that it usually works for the first 14 to 18-ish days for me with my autoimmune and AS symptoms. However, after that, I kind of full force get all of my joint throbbing coming back. I may or may not have difficulty walking again. And I do have pain and can feel the inflammation after that. This month, however, it only lasted about 12 days that I had the benefits of my medicine. So I've also been struggling with my Cosentyx not being effective and not working this month, which is another reason why you all probably haven't heard from me in a while. I've just had so many different things going on and so many things thrown at me at the same time. And I really didn't have a loss to report out. So I didn't come on and do a vlog. So I am going to tell you all that for my own sanity purposes, I am going to be completely unplugging from social media towards the end of this week. So I have holiday Christmas parties, winter parties, whatever they want to call them at the schools with both of my kids. And then it is officially the holidays and then also like my birthday coming up. So I've decided as a present to myself that I will not be doing any social media until after the new year. That is a gift to me for everything that I've been thrown in the past few months. And so you will not have another update from me until sometime in 2025. So speaking of 2025, we're going to roll over into In the News Today. First up that I know is new in 2025, and I cannot wait to see your comments below. I would love for you all to comment below if you have received a letter from your insurance letting you know what your new coverage for weight loss medications is going to be or what your new deductible is going to be on this. Previously, mine has been $25, and once, of course, I met my out-of-pocket max, it became a $0 copay for me. There are, however, people reporting out that are with Blue Cross Blue Shield that are still going to gain coverage because they do have additional conditions along with just the weight loss, that they are going from a $25 copay to over a $700 copay with Blue Cross Blue Shield for their medications. This was over in a couple of articles, and I will link these in the comments down below, but I also want to see in the comments down below if your insurance will still be covering your weight loss medication for you if they were prior, or vice versa. I would also like to know, were they not covering it and then now coming up on this new year, they're going to be covering it? And if you've not asked those questions of your benefits coordinator or your own insurance yourself, it probably is something you want to ask. There are some companies that are kind of flip-flopping around on what they're officially going to be doing, and they're not going to send out letters until after January 1st. But if they do that, come on back to this video and make sure you put down in the comments below. I want to see what everybody has to say, and you might even be surprised by what someone else has to say in your state or with your exact same service to kind of give you a little bell of maybe I need to call my insurance. The ADA put out their warning, and yes, this was all over all of the groups, all over social media, lots of people getting super worked up about it, and to be honest, I'm not really sure why. If you read the full PDF document, and I will also, again, everything that I talk about will be linked in the comments below. If you pull up the full PDF document and read the whole thing, it really is the exact same thing that the FDA has been saying, that now the ADA is coming out with their own iteration or version of this. Personally, I think that this is probably a legality type thing where they can say, oh no, we made a public statement and a public release about our thoughts on this. Just in case there really are, as Novo Nordisk has put forth to the FDA, deaths and hospitalizations due to compounded semaglutide or compounded tirzepatide. Now, when you read through this, it really is also doing exactly what I've been telling you all along, which is do your research into where the compound is coming from. Make sure that the pharmacies and the medical staff that are providing it to you know where the compound is being made, how it's being made, and that it is in more or less a GMP type environment. It's not going to be GMP because it's not manufacturing. Let me just go and tell you that. However, some pharmacies can opt to follow GMP best practices, which is, of course, what you're going to want to look for. You also want to make sure that their state license is up to date and their state license allows them to do compounding. I will also tell you in the group forums that Mochi and the pharmacy that they work for, in order to try to get around the FDA review of whether or not semaglutide and tirzepatide compounds are going to be remained allowed to the public and legal, they are changing all of their doses and people are irate. They are basically charging the same amount to send you less. Yes, less. But they are offering different strengths or different titration levels, if that makes sense. No, people are not very happy about it. I also think that it's kind of a odd way to try to, I'll just say odd way, instead of what I really want to say, to try to get around the essential copy clause of the 503A and 503B guidelines for compounded medicine. Personally, when you read through the guidelines and what the law is around something that is a copy of another medicine, it really does not matter what the titration is. It matters what the makeup of it is. You also can't just start throwing in other vitamins or other things and then say that it's no longer a copy. They have been marketing it as the same thing. They will continue to be marketing it as the same thing. It is essentially the same thing. So whether or not their efforts are going to fall short are still to come. I think the FDA has kind of stood back a little bit with the election results and knowing who's coming in, and then it also being the holidays. But I will say that Eli Lilly's CEO, David Ricks, has openly said and in the news said that he will fight any of the new administration and the FDA on releasing access of Zepbound and Mounjaro and basically any drug that's necessary, right, that they make or needed. He will continue to fight them to gain access for the general public and for all Americans, which I love. I also am sort of seeing this go down the same path that insulin has gone. I discussed in the past that insulin is starting to kind of be phased out with Novo Nordisk. There's a lot of people who are very angry about this. There really is no future date or future set plan on when they're going to cease, the production of insulin. But they really are trying to force people over onto Ozempic, Wegovy, or Tirzepatide. I think that in the past that insulin out-of-pocket costs were really set and capped at around $35. If they are going to then say we're no longer providing insulin, then you're going to have to provide your Wegovy and your Ozempic at $35. And I don't really see that happening. So we'll just kind of sit on this and see where it goes. Speaking of costs, I am going to briefly mention, because it's been all over the news, it's already been here's who did it, they're in jail. There's even been Saturday Night Live skits on it. But the United Healthcare CEO was shot and killed in New York City. No, I do not think that this will be the last news report of this kind, just because everyone is very high-strung, especially over the holidays, and everyone is really going to be high-strung after the new year, especially if they're one of the people who were previously covered for their drug and then they get a notice saying they're no longer covered for the drug. If I was a CEO of any of the insurance companies or PBMs, I don't think that I would be trotting around without a whole security team after that. Yeah, I think I would bulk up on that security team just a little bit. We'll see how it goes. Been a lot of what I call repetitive news. A lot of like, oh, Eli Lilly is reporting out that their weight loss drug performed better than Novo Nordisk. Yeah, if you know how to read and you know numbers, then you'd know that. Yeah, I got real Kentucky on you guys on that one. It kind of baffles me that these are just now things that are in the news, because obviously over 20% is much more than just under 14%. So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to put that together. It's very strange that also they're coming back around again with how Wegovy, Ozempic, Tirzepatide is also going to be a kind of known treatment for alcoholism, drug abuse, any type of like addictive type behavior. I think that this might just be kind of the pharmaceutical companies trying to nudge and push the FDA to approve other indicated uses. And when I say approve other indicated uses, right now, for instance, Tirzepatide is the Mounjaro side for diabetes, and you have Zepbound that has been approved for weight loss. However, there's multiple studies, and all of those studies have been presented to the FDA and said, here's what we found. Please approve us for more. They even came out with the whole study on pre-diabetes and how over a 3+ year period, they reversed everyone who was in a pre-diabetic state. So that really should have been something that the FDA said, hey, we're also going to approve this a treatment for the use of pre-diabetes. Here are kind of the parameters that we consider to be a pre-diabetic person that is at risk of continuing on into a diabetic state. Those people can now use this. They've also presented data, as we know, on Alzheimer's, on Parkinson's, on sleep apnea. The obstructive sleep apnea has also been out there. They're also doing studies on different types of inflammation. I know that Eli Lilly has so many studies going right now. And once all of this kind of wraps up and is made into a nice little pretty bow, we're going to have a completely different administration. We're going to have new people over a lot of the different government entities and departments. So I don't really know what the route is going to be anymore. We'll just kind of see how it goes. I think that a lot of this is just kind of being sat on through the end of this year, which I'm sure that the insurance companies and PBMs absolutely love, because it's not giving them any additional expenses for the rest of this year. And then they're also hurrying up and changing all their paperwork to no longer cover those drugs come January 2025. So it's basically stalling to give all of them time to just say, we don't cover these drugs. Isn't that nice and convenient? Now, I am going to just kind of throw out there again, I have worked with Emerge in the past. I'm still working with Emerge. You can use my code KetosisMom50 for $50 off of your first 2 shipments from Emerge. I did research into where they were previously sourcing from. I am going to reach out to them again and make sure that they are still sourcing from those same locations, because I know at one time Hallandale Pharmacy kind of came off of their list when Tirzepatide was removed from the shortage list. And then I believe they were still sourcing from the Empower Pharmacy that is out of Texas. They additionally, during that kind of phase of not knowing what was going to go on with Tirzepatide, were also going to start offering a semaglutide or semaglutide, however you would like to pronounce it. I don't care. I don't really think it matters either. I do still really like Emerge as an option, just because I do feel like their staff is very responsive. You can make changes when you need to. It is a texting back and forth service. You are going to have to send them, of course, if you're just texting with them and not doing a video call, your actual ID as well as a video of yourself, so that they can make sure that you are the same person and what you're telling them is true, right? But I also really like that if you needed something like Zofran, even on a compounded medicine, they were willing to do that, because it is a whole medical team that runs this Emerge weight loss service. I also really do like that they are looking into where they are sourcing from, and they're not just kind of picking whoever is still doing it because of legality reasons. They're making sure that they are still sourcing from credible sources, which I think with a compounded version is the most important thing to do, is to really make sure that you know what it is and where you're getting it from, and you also have medical support behind you if you need it. I personally do not take a compounded medicine. However, if I were to, I would be going through them to obtain mine, just because I've looked into kind of everything that they do and where it's coming from. So I will put a link and a QR code over here as well, but you can also just go to the website, and when you're at checkout, put in KetosisMom50, and that will get you the same result. The link and the QR code is just easier to get you there. And then you don't have to remember how to spell ketosis like everybody else does. I will also say that Ro is also, yes, additionally offering the Lilly Direct vials. So that is something that is new since the last time that we spoke. You can always still go through Lilly Direct. However, I have a friend in New York right now who's been trying to get the vials with Lilly Direct. And even though she's providing the separate NPI number and everything that's needed, and I will put it over here for Lilly Cash Pay, they still, I think, keep selecting Lilly Direct in whatever system they're in, and it's going over to where the pins go. Therefore, it's going over to Amazon for her. So she has spent almost like 2 weeks going back and forth with her prescriber, as well as trying to call Lilly Direct. And the Lilly Direct actually comes through something called like Gift Health, I believe. And when you sign up for the vials with Lilly Direct, which is a cash pay, no insurance, but cash pay system, then you should receive a separate email from the Gift Health to set up everything for your kind of package to arrive. I will also say that instead of it coming in like a nice big cooler with like all these ice packs and paperwork, like when I was using Lilly Direct via Amazon, it literally, I have someone else that I'm friends with. It literally comes in just like a white package, just like the compounds do, with just like an ice pack thrown in there for these vials. Now I did find out they will, and they do send you syringes with this, so you do not have to go purchase your own. I also heard from my friend who is using this that as they're drawing it up, that there's always still a little bit left down in the vial. And I told her that's probably always going to be the case. You can try, with another syringe to try to get that up if you want to. But in reality, they have probably figured a certain percentage will always kind of be left behind. And so you really just want to make sure that any type of vial that you're using, you are agitating it very, very well to make sure everything is mixed up before you start drawing out with your own syringe. So I am going to put a lot of different links down in my caption of people that I have worked with throughout this year. So hopefully you guys can get some discounts with some nice things down below. Make sure that you always head over to my Like to Know It. That is where I've had a lot of different brand and ambassador and collab things being posted throughout this holiday season. Please consider shopping with me. It does help my status on Like to Know It, and I did receive notification that I'm now in the top 1% of Like to Know It creators. Woo! So that was really exciting for me, and I hope to be able to keep that up like moving forward, because it's just going to open up more kind of brand endorsements for me that I can then bring back to you all and say, hey, here's who I'm working with, and here's a discount you guys can get, which is something that I really like to try to do to give back to everybody as well. I always ask for a giveaway, for a discount, for a code, for something, because I don't want to just say, here's this wonderful whatever this is, and just present it to you. I really want to give you guys an opportunity to save money, especially if I can kind of like dig it out of them. A lot of brands don't want to give any kind of discount. They just want, their things presented or shown for brand awareness. But that is something that I really have decided that I'm like wholeheartedly digging into brands to minimum give me some kind of discount for my audience. So I will put a QR code over here to my Like to Know It, and also link it down below. You can also always find me on Amazon at amazon.com/shop/KetosisMom. And when you're shopping on Amazon, you might even see me or my husband in quite a few videos of things that you're shopping for. So I appreciate you guys shopping on Amazon as well. And you can follow me on Instagram or TikTok at Living Large and Lily, and also at KetosisMom. I will see you guys after the new year, and I hope that everyone has an amazing holiday season. Whether you're spending time with family or spending time recouping and recovering from being around family recently, I hope that everybody has an amazing new year. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye, y'all.